Senator Kamala Harris will travel back to Capitol Hill Tuesday for a closed Senate Intelligence Committee briefing. The Democratic vice presidential nominee towards small businesses impacted by the coronavirus pandemic in Michigan on Tuesday. Harris says she is focused on making sure Michigan voters can cast their votes ahead of Election Day.
Michigan starts voting in 48 hours. And the outcome of this election will determine, I believe, the course of our country for generations to come.
Joe Biden stayed in Wilmington, Delaware for a virtual fundraiser Tuesday. Democrats have grown their fundraising lead. According to financial documents, Biden had a $141 million cash-on-hand advantage over President Trump heading into September. Sarah Ewald-Weiss joins me now from New York. She's a CBS News political unit associate producer. Sarah, great to see you again. Welcome. So Joe Biden is now outraising President Trump for the first time in months. What's behind this recent uptick?
Right. So last month, we learned that Joe Biden raised a record amount of money, obviously, when he announced his VP pick. He also raised a massive amount of money during the conventions. And it's really kind of snowballed since then. In August, his campaign announced it raised more than $364 million. It's a massive record. In comparison, Donald Trump's campaign announced that it raised $210 million, so $150 million less than the former vice president. What we found out over the weekend, though, is how much money that these two candidates had moving forward into September, what their war chest looked like that they'd be able to invest between now and Election Day. And Joe Biden's campaign revealed it had $466 million cash on hand. President Trump's campaign had $325 million cash on hand, leading to that $141 million that you referenced there. What we've seen is Joe Biden has dramatically expanded his advertising. He's also started to travel more to multiple states, which is allowing he's spending more money on that, which he hadn't done earlier in the primary season when he was mostly campaigning from his home in Delaware due to the coronavirus. So we've really seen it expand. One thing we do know is that since early August, Joe Biden has outspent Donald Trump on advertising, specifically on television. And moving forward, their advertising, looking at the TV ads, are on par. They're kind of even at this moment, heading towards November.
So, Sarah, talk to us about burn rates, because these numbers that you're citing are just eye-popping. But the burn rate is each campaign's rate of spending relative to the cash they're raising. Where do the campaigns stand?
Right. So earlier this summer, Joe Biden's campaign was spending very little money. It actually was saving a ton of money. With that said, Donald Trump's campaign's burn rate was massive. And just looking back at the financial numbers that were filed over the weekend, Joe Biden is still saving money with his campaign. He's burning less money than that is coming in with those record fundraising numbers. The president, on the other hand, he brought in a little over $61 million directly to his campaign committee. What we've seen go out is also about $61 million. So he's spending the same amount of money that is coming in. The Republican National Committee is also spending more than the Democratic National Committee in terms of how much it's investing versus how much is coming in. The one thing we do not know yet specifically, besides what the campaigns have revealed to us, is what those joint fundraising committees are spending, if anything, though that's where the bulk of the money comes in, but they don't have to file until mid-October because they face a quarterly deadline with the Federal Election Commission.
Interesting. All right, Sarah, before we let you go, I have to ask you about Florida. So you have former New York City Mayor and presidential candidate Michael Bloomberg announcing a $100 million donation to help Joe Biden win in Florida. How is the campaign planning on spending that money?
Right, so that is going to be actually separate from what Joe Biden specifically will be doing with his money in Florida. Of course, Mike Bloomberg invested about $1 billion of his own money into his campaign when he was a presidential candidate during the primary, he announced that he's going to be spending this money. The idea when you spend this kind of money in Florida specifically is that it allows the campaign of the president, or excuse me, the former vice president, to focus his money elsewhere and invest in other places. What we do know specifically about the Bloomberg money is that some of it is going to super PACs. Just this week, Priorities USA, which is a pro-Biden super PAC, announced that it will be expanding its ad buy in Florida thanks to a donation from Mike Bloomberg, which is a part of that $100 million. Another thing that we learned this week is that Mike Bloomberg raised money, $16 million, to pay off the fees for formerly convicted felons in the state, allowing them to vote in the election this November. But when we look at it, both Joe Biden and Donald Trump are still investing heavily in the state. When you look across the board at where they're spending their money in terms of TV ads moving forward, Florida happens to be the top state for both the campaigns. At the same time, they're both obviously in the state this week. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. The latest battleground tracking poll showed that Joe Biden was up among Hispanic voters. He's also launched a number of Spanish-speaking ads targeting them, but it's about the same as what Hillary Clinton was seeing with that support in 2016. Meanwhile, President Trump is up with seniors in the state, but his advantage there is smaller than it was in 2016, according to our latest tracking poll. Joe Biden has invested in money there on ads specifically about Medicare and Social Security, something that also targets senior voters in the state.
All right, we are going to be watching Florida ever so closely, as I know you will too. Sarah Ewald-Weiss for us. Sarah, thank you so much.
Thank you.